Chapter 4089. Dong Yuanqing and the other two had exchanged dozens of blows with Eugene. This was already their limit, and they were only able to achieve this result by relying on their joint attack technique. Otherwise, they would have been crushed like rotten wood. Even so, they were still forced to retreat. Fortunately, almost all of the remaining people from the Heavenly Palace had rushed into the valley. Let's retreat too. Dong Yuanqing sent a sound transmission to Bu Nan and the others. Boom. They condensed another turtle shell and blocked Eugene's saber strike. The turtle shell shattered, and the violent saber chi rushed towards them. Their bodies trembled and their faces turned pale. However, with the help of this force, they retreated rapidly and rushed towards the eastern valley. You want to leave? Leave all of them behind. Eugene shouted coldly as the saber light slashed out once again. Mu Yun, retreat. At the side, Ling Yue shouted and shot an arrow. This arrow was shot towards the Luo corpse. As for Lu Ming, while the Luo corpse was blocking Ling Yue's arrow, he explosively retreated and also rushed towards the eastern valley. In fact, he was very close to the eastern valley. During the battle with the Luo corpse, Lu Ming had intentionally or unintentionally approached the eastern valley. The reason he fought with the Luo corpse was to stimulate his potential so that he could break through. He wasn't courting death, so he would naturally leave a way out for himself. As for Ling Yue, she had been swimming the entire time, and was even closer to the eastern valley. Therefore, Lu Ming and Ling Yue moved and rushed into the valley. As soon as they rushed into the valley, the environment of the world suddenly changed, completely changing its appearance. This was an illusion array. Even if the demons followed them in, they wouldn't be able to find any traces of them. Following that, the jade talisman on their bodies lit up, and Lu Ming felt a wave of energy envelop his entire body. Lu Ming did not resist and allowed the force to pull him. In the next moment, his figure disappeared from where he stood. Then, Lu Ming found himself underground. Array within array. There was an escape array within the illusion array that allowed them to enter the ground. Underground, there was a passage that led to the front. Ling Yue was right beside him. In addition, there were other people from the Heavenly Palace. Go, let's go. Someone from the Heavenly Palace shouted. Then, they followed the passage and rushed forward. At the end of the passage, another matrix appeared. They stepped into the formation and left in a flash. In the next moment, they appeared on the ground, but they were already far away from the area they were in. There was more than one hiding place in the Heavenly Palace. Previously, Dong Yuanqing had set up formations in different places in the area as hiding spots. They had just moved to another hiding place. People kept appearing beside them. However, Dong Yuanqing and the other two were nowhere to be seen. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Dong Yuanqing and the other two were the strongest among them, so they could not fight. If they did, the Heavenly Palace would be finished in this battle. Fortunately, not long after, there was a flash of space, and three figures appeared. These three people were none other than Dong Yuanqing, Bu Nan, and the Devil Race's prodigy. The three of them were pale, and their auras were weak. Blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Clearly, they were injured. However, they survived in the end. Brother Dong Yuanqing, have you gotten rid of those devils? I wonder if the devils will chase after us? Someone asked worriedly, afraid that the devils would follow the path they took. Don't worry, the matrix behind us will automatically be destroyed. They won't be able to catch up to us. They won't be able to find us in a short period of time. Our injured friends can have a good rest. Dong Yuanqing said. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they looked around, their hearts became even heavier. Only about 300 people could make it here. Previously, there were 500 people. In other words, another 200 people from the Heavenly Palace had been killed by the devils in the battle just now. The Heavenly Palace's strength was getting weaker and weaker. If this continued, the situation would become more and more disadvantageous for them. Everyone, let's have a good rest first, Dong Yuanqing said. After saying that, he found a place, sat down cross-legged, swallowed a few divine pills, and began to heal his injuries. The others also found a place to sit down and meditate. In this battle, everyone had more or less suffered different degrees of injuries and needed to rest. Lu Ming also found a place and sat down cross-legged. He activated the forbidden power, and his injuries quickly recovered. In the battle just now, Lu Ming's injuries were very serious. They were not any weaker than the previous battle with Luo Shi. Of course, the potential that was stimulated was also very shocking. In their previous hiding place, rumble, the ground kept shaking. A large number of devils stood in the void and raised the valley in the east to the ground. Damn it, that kid got away again. The next time I catch him, I'll skin him alive and pull out his tendons. Luo Shi roared. The other devils were also unhappy. Eugene stood in the void, his eyes as cold as a knife. This temporary planet is only so big. Let's see where they can run to. Pass down the order. Search thoroughly. We must find the people from the heavenly palace, Eugene ordered. On this temporary planet, Eugene was the strongest prodigy with the strongest combat strength. The other devils naturally obeyed Eugene's orders. Thousands of devils divided into groups and searched for the people from the heavenly palace on a large scale. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. In the new hiding place, after 2 days, most of the people's injuries were more or less healed. Lu Ming's injuries were also healed. Not only had he recovered to his peak condition, but his cultivation level had also increased. He had broken through to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer. I didn't break through. What a pity. Lu Ming was annoyed. He had wanted to take this opportunity to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. Originally, he had a chance, but unfortunately, his cells didn't have enough potential. After breaking through to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer, it would be difficult for him to break through again. Lu Ming could only sigh speechlessly. He then took out the spirit wood heart and began to absorb it to store his potential again. Time passed. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. During those 5 days, the devils didn't find them, which gave them a chance to rest. After those 5 days, almost everyone's injuries had healed. As for Lu Ming, he had also restored the potential in his cells to 100%. The price was that he had consumed 9,000 spiritual wood hearts. He had obtained 50,000 spiritual wood hearts from the fairy clan. There wasn't much left. Only half of them were left. My potential is full. Unfortunately, I still need one more step to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. One more step. Lu Ming was lost in thought. Then, he looked in a certain direction. He was looking in the direction of Bu Nan, the genius of the angel clan. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. Chapter 4090. Lu Ming was just a hair away from breaking through to the 5th godly emperor layer. It was just a hair's breadth away. If he cultivated step by step, it would take a long time. But if there was enough pressure, he could stimulate his potential and break through very quickly. There were no evil demons here, so he could only fight against the people of the heavenly palace. But there were only 3 people from the heavenly palace who could give him enough pressure. One was Dong Yuanqing, one was a peerless cultivator from the demon clan, and the third was Bu Nan. But Dong Yuanqing and the demon clan had no enmity with him. Even if he wanted to fight against them, they wouldn't want to kill him, so he wouldn't be able to stimulate his potential. Bu Nan was more suitable for him. Lu Ming wanted to challenge Bu Nan. He wanted to use his strength to break through to the 5th godly emperor layer. But when he glanced at Dong Yuanqing and the demon clan, he had to give up on that idea. If he really fought against Bu Nan, it would cause a huge commotion. It would probably attract the evil demons. Dong Yuanqing and the demon clan wouldn't let them fight. They would try to stop them. Lu Ming thought about it for a moment and decided to focus on cultivation. Bzzz. Suddenly, the ground started shaking. Everybody was startled. They stopped cultivating and released their divine qi. They were on guard. They thought the evil demons had arrived, but they didn't see the evil demons. They saw a beam of light. In the distance, a beam of light shot up to the sky. It passed through the deployment spell they had set up. That beam of light was black and white. It was as if a white divine dragon and a black divine dragon were entangled together, spiraling upwards. That's the place where the maps of the Good Fortune Lands are hidden. The maps of the Good Fortune Lands are about to appear. Someone exclaimed. On this temporary planet, the master-level existences of the Celestial Palace and the demons had each set up a land of good fortune, but they were hidden very well. Without a map, they wouldn't be able to find them. The maps of the two lands of good fortune were hidden in the same place. Only when the battle between the two sides reached a certain point and a certain number of people died would the maps appear. The black and white beam of light meant that the maps of the two good fortune lands were about to appear. Furthermore, it wasn't particularly far from them. Looking at the distance, it should be on the half of the planet that was close to them. Were they going to snatch the map? Everyone looked at each other and hesitated for a moment. The black and white pillars of light were so obvious. If they saw it, the demons must have seen it too. The demons would definitely go there. If they left here to seize the map, they would definitely encounter the demons. How could they be a match for the demons? If he went, wouldn't he be courting death? However, they were now at a complete disadvantage and were completely passive. They were being chased by the demons all day long. The land of fortune could be said to be their last chance. The purpose of a land of good fortune was to give the side that was behind a chance to make a comeback, filling the battle with suspense. If they did not fight for it and instead let the demons take the map and obtain the creation of the land of creation, then the strong would become stronger and the weak would become weaker. Then, the heavenly palace would have no chance at all. What awaited them was only defeat and death. Do you want to give it a shot? I think we should give it a shot. Otherwise, we'll definitely lose. The outcome is already decided. If we hide here, we'll be found sooner or later. We're just waiting for death. That's right. I think we should give it a shot too. I'd rather die in battle than wait for death here. That's right. Many people's fighting spirit was aroused and they decided to give it a shot. In the end, everyone looked at Dong Yuanqing, Bu Nan, and the monster from the demon race. The three of them were the strongest among the group. If the three of them were unwilling to go, then their chances would be slim even if they went. I think we have to give it a shot, but we can't be impulsive. What if the demons are waiting for us to take the bait? I think we should send someone out to investigate the situation before making a decision. What do you think? Dong Yuanqing said, and then looked at Bu Nan and the monster from the demon race. I have no objections. I have no objections either. Bu Nan and the monster from the demon race nodded. Very well. Send someone out to investigate the demon situation now. Dong Yuanqing nodded and immediately began to select people to go out and investigate the situation. Although those who were selected were unwilling, they had no choice but to leave this place to investigate the situation. Everyone waited quietly. Not long after, someone returned. They said that there were no traces of the demons in the surrounding area. The demons should have all gone in the direction of the black and white light pillar to snatch the map. After hearing this news, everyone began to discuss again whether they should go and snatch the map. Now that things had come to this, everyone hesitated again. After all, their strength was too far away from the demons. If they want to fight with the demons for the map, it was very likely that they would be annihilated by the demons before they could obtain the map. It was a matter of life and death. Everyone began to hesitate again. Swoosh. At this moment, Lu Ming stepped into the air and exuded a powerful aura. Boom. Lu Ming blasted out a punch. A fist force penetrated the void and blasted toward Bu Nan. It happened so suddenly that everyone was stunned. They did not know why Lu Ming would suddenly attack Bu Nan. Bu Nan was also a little stunned. However, he was a peerless monster after all. His reaction was very fast. He opened his mouth and let out a long roar. A pure white sword light shot out from his mouth and slashed at Lu Ming's fist force. Boom! With a violent roar, Lu Ming's fist force was dispersed by the sword light. Kid, you're courting death. Bu Nan roared. A terrifying aura burst out. 12 wings stretched out and a terrifying holy light shot up into the sky, illuminating the sky. Do you only know how to talk? Let's see what you're capable of. Lu Ming did not stop. He raised his combat strength to the extreme. His body was covered in dazzling light. Both of his fists blasted out continuously. Streaks of terrifying fist force blasted toward Bu Nan. You're courting death. Bu Nan roared. He clenched his fist and a cross-shaped holy sword appeared. With a flap of his angelic wings, he turned into a holy light and rushed toward Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them clashed fiercely. All of this happened too suddenly. Many people just woke up from their days. What's wrong with Mu Yun? Why is he suddenly fighting with Bu Nan? I don't know. He suddenly attacked. He must be crazy. You're courting death. This time, Bu Nan will definitely not let him go. Could it be that he doesn't want to die in the hands of the devil and wants to die in the hands of Bu Nan? However, if he dies in the hands of the devil, he will become his food. That's too miserable. Many people were discussing among themselves. They could not figure out Lu Ming's thoughts. Dong Yuanqing and the monster from the devil race were also stunned. The battle broke out too suddenly. They wanted to stop it, but it was too late. Chapter 4091. Dong Yuanqing and the demon cultivator wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Besides, they didn't have any intention of stopping him. That was because the demons were heading towards the black and white pillars of light to obtain the map. No matter how big the commotion was, it wouldn't attract the demons. In their opinion, Lu Ming was overestimating himself. He was obviously weaker than Bu Nan, but he still took the initiative to attack him. He was courting death. However, Lu Ming was also a strong fighter. They planned to save Lu Ming when Lu Ming was half dead. Ling Yue was in a daze at first. Lu Ming's sudden attack on Bu Nan was too sudden. However, after spending some time with him, he had a better understanding of Lu Ming. She knew that Lu Ming wouldn't attack Bu Nan for no reason. There had to be a reason. Therefore, she secretly circulated her godly strength. As long as anyone tried to stop Lu Ming, she would stop them. At the same time, when Lu Ming was in danger, she could save Lu Ming. Boom boom, Lu Ming and Bu Nan's battle was very intense. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 moves. Bu Nan was really strong. He wasn't any weaker than Luo Shi. As soon as they started fighting, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. However, during this time, his cultivation level had risen to the top of the 4th godly emperor layer. His strength had increased a little. He was in a better situation than when he had fought Luo Shi. After a dozen moves, Lu Ming retreated rapidly. He felt like every muscle in his body was shaking violently. He felt like he was being torn apart. Not enough again, shouted Lu Ming. He took the initiative to attack Bu Nan. Before he arrived, he had already used the Great Demon Sword technique. A dozen demon swords whistled through the air and shot towards Bu Nan. At the same time, Lu Ming activated the Great Divine Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique to the extreme. He continuously punched out. Streams of fist force smashed toward Bu Nan like meteors. Angelic sword, Bu Nan roared, and the holy light on his body became even more intense. More than a dozen pure white feathers flew out and transformed into 12 pure white divine swords. They pierced through the air as if they were going to split the sky in half. The 12 angelic divine swords were the first to clash with the dozen or so demonic swords, resulting in an earth-shattering explosion. The dozen or so demonic swords collapsed immediately. They only managed to resist for a single breath. Then, the angelic godly sword collided with Lu Ming's fist energy. The terrifying chi was like waves of water, rushing in all directions. It was very shocking. The surrounding people hurriedly retreated and distanced themselves from it, afraid that they would be swept up. The rocks on the ground exploded, and the void was torn apart. The entire world was shaking violently. The formation covering this area was also constantly vibrating, and a strong force seeped out of the formation. If there were demons around, they would definitely be attracted by the commotion. This was also the reason why Lu Ming didn't make a move earlier. After a series of booming sounds, Lu Ming's figure retreated again. This time, Lu Ming was injured. A sword light had pierced through his chest, and a hideous wound had appeared. I can feel it, whispered Lu Ming. He could sense that his cells were trembling. His potential was unceasingly being stimulated. His injuries were quickly healing. At the same time, that potential was transforming into his cultivation. He could sense that the bottleneck of the 5th godly emperor layer was about to loosen. He could already see the 5th godly emperor layer waving at him. Just one more step. Lu Ming had the impression that he was one step away from breaking through to the 5th godly emperor layer. Bu Nan, is that all you've got? That's the 12-winged angel of the angel clan? You're not as good as the rumors, shouted Lu Ming. You want to die? I will cut you into 10,000 pieces, shouted Bunan furiously. His eyes were filled with murder. He was a 12-winged angel of the angel race. Moreover, his cultivation level was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. However, he could not do anything to Lu Ming even after exchanging many blows. To him, this was a great humiliation. He had already decided that no matter what, he had to kill Lu Ming. No matter who tried to stop him, it was useless. Angel King. Bu Nin let out a long howl as holy light shot into the sky. In the next moment, a huge figure emerged from his body. It was the silhouette of an angel, but it was gigantic. It had 12 angel wings, but those wings weren't white, they were golden. At the same time, it had a crown on its head. It was the silhouette of the Angel King. Boom! As soon as the silhouette of the Angel King appeared, a terrifying chi exploded like a volcano. The silhouette of the Angel King was holding an angel godly sword, and it moved towards Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. Heaven and earth exploded, and the void collapsed under the angel godly sword. Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure pressing down on him. All the muscles in his body suddenly tensed up. Mu Yun. Ling Yue cried out in alarm, revealing a worried expression. This was because Bu Nan's move was too terrifying. Even though she was a distance away, she could still feel the astonishing power. A battle bow appeared in her hand, ready to save him at any time. Don't do it, let me do it myself. Lu Ming's voice came into Ling Yue's ears. Her movements immediately stopped. Come on, come on. Just use this move to help me break through. Lu Ming's eyes revealed an excited light. Before this move even arrived, Lu Ming already felt an extremely strong pressure. Under the strong pressure, the potential in Lu Ming's cells was constantly being stimulated. My strongest move! Lu Ming roared, and all of his strength erupted in an instant. His entire body turned into a ball of dazzling light as he soared into the sky, charging towards the sword slashed out by the Angel King's silhouette. Boom! In the next moment, the attacks of the two collided heavily. This time, it was as if two planets had collided. The terrifying strength chi swept out, and wherever it passed, the void collapsed into chaos and darkness. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The surrounding people were already far enough away, but now, they realized that they were not far enough. The terrifying strength chi quickly swept towards them, and everyone retreated once again. Look, Mu Yun can't take it anymore. Someone shouted. Everyone saw that the ball of light that Lu Ming had transformed into was violently shaking, and then with a schwa sound, it smashed towards the ground. Like a meteor, it heavily smashed into the ground. The ground shook continuously, and gravel flew everywhere. The gravel carried a wave of air that swept in all directions. How is it? Everyone stared in that direction. Soon, the gravel scattered, and a huge crater appeared on the ground. It was dark and unfathomable. Humph! Under this move of mine, Mu Yun can only die, Bu Nan said coldly. He stood in the air, and the huge shadow of the Angel King still appeared behind him. Chapter 4092. Mu Yun is dead? The crowd was stupefied when they heard Bu Nan. Such a strong cultivator had been killed by Bu Nan just like that? That Mu Yun really wanted to die. He wasn't as strong as Bu Nan, but he took the initiative to fight against him. He deserved to die. Indeed, he deserved it. That's what happens when you overestimate yourself. Some people were talking loudly. They were obviously trying to curry favor with Bu Nan. Mu Yun. Ling Yue tightly gripped the bow in her hand as she stared at the huge pit. Even though she knew that Lu Ming had a goal, she still couldn't help but worry when she saw that. In the sky, Dong Yuanqing and the demon cultivator shook their heads. They felt it was a pity, but they didn't know why, but deep in their hearts, they sighed with relief. Lu Ming was too strong. He only had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, but he was already so strong. It was unimaginable. They felt a lot of pressure from him. Lu Ming's cultivation level was only 2 layers lower than theirs. If Lu Ming's cultivation level caught up with theirs, he would surpass them sooner or later. If they could survive this ordeal, Lu Ming would become their strongest competitor in the future. At that moment, Lu Ming had died at Bu Nan's hands. They would have one less enemy. Anyway, even though Mu Yun's fighting strength is not bad, he won't be able to help us in the battle against the evil demons. If the Heavenly Palace wants to win, they still need the good fortune of the land of creation. The demon genius thought to himself. However, at the next moment, his eyes widened in shock as he stared at the huge pit that Lu Ming had created. Because at that moment, a powerful qi had suddenly emerged from the crater. As soon as that qi appeared, it started rising rapidly. Very quickly, it reached the top of the fourth godly emperor layer. Then boom, an even more terrifying qi emerged. It broke through the limit of the fourth godly emperor layer and reached the fifth godly emperor layer. He had broken through. At this moment, these three words automatically popped up in everyone's minds. Lu Ming had actually broken through. Just now, everyone still thought that Lu Ming was killed by Bu Nan's ultimate move and had already thoroughly perished. They did not expect that not only did Lu Ming not perish, he broke through instead. What was going on? He was severely injured, but not only was he fine, he even managed to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. What kind of monster was this? Many people felt as if their brains had been blown away. Brennan's eyes were red. They were blood red. That was the result of his anger. The murderous intent on his body became even more intense, and his face was completely distorted. Could it be that not only did his strongest move fail to kill Lu Ming, it had instead become Lu Ming's assistance and helped him break through? Unbearable. Unbearable. Brennan felt that he was about to be ignited by anger and jealousy. You want a breakthrough? Impossible. Die. Die. You bastard. Die. Bu Nan roared crazily like a mad beast. Swish. He attacked with all his might, his palms slashing towards the huge pit. Immediately, the angel sword in the hand of the phantom of the Angel King also slashed down towards the huge pit. This sword strike was made by Bu Nan in a fit of rage, and its power was extremely powerful. He wanted to kill Lu Ming completely before Lu Ming had completely broken through. At this moment, he no longer cared about the great battle with the demons. At this moment, there was only one goal in his heart, and that was to kill Lu Ming. If he didn't kill Lu Ming, this matter would become his inner demon, forever following him and obstructing his future cultivation. Bu Nan, stop! Ling Yue roared and shot out an arrow with all her might. An arrow pierced through the air at an astonishing speed and hit the angel sword of the phantom of the Angel King. With a boom, Ling Yue's arrow exploded. However, the phantom of the Angel King's divine sword continued to slash down. There was still a huge gap between Ling Yue's battle strength and Bu Nan's. Although she had offset the power of the divine sword, she couldn't completely block the attack of the divine sword. The gigantic angelic divine sword continued to slash at the huge pit where Lu Ming was. With a loud bang, it slashed at the huge pit. A huge crack appeared on the ground, and the crack spread rapidly into the distance. But at that moment, a dazzling fist energy soared into the sky from the huge pit and hit the angel sword. With an earth-shattering explosion, the fist energy and the angel sword both dissipated. A moment later, a figure rose from the huge pit and stood in the air. His entire body was enveloped by a dazzling multicolored light. He looked extraordinary. The person in the multicolored light was naturally Lu Ming. In the battle with Bu Nan, Lu Ming had finally stimulated his potential and broken through the bottleneck in one fell swoop. His cultivation had reached the fifth layer of the godly emperor layer, and his battle strength had greatly increased. I didn't have enough fun just now. Now, I'll fight with you again. Lu Ming stepped out. With every step he took, there was a roaring sound in the void. After a few steps, he was already close to Bu Nan. Boom! A fist blasted towards Bu Nan. The violent fist energy pierced through the void and crushed towards Bu Nan. Its power was extremely strong. The might of this punch made Bu Nan's entire body tense up, giving him a strong sense of crisis. Slash! Shouted Bu Nan. The phantom of the Angel King's divine sword slashed towards Lu Ming. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion spread in the air. This time, Lu Ming didn't move at all. However, the angel sword was shaking violently. It seemed like its light had dimmed. Bu Nan's body shook violently. He couldn't help but take a few steps back. How is that possible? shouted Bunan in disbelief. That's all you've got. I'll suppress you, shouted Lu Ming as he punched with both fists. His fists contained the power of various secret arts, including the power of the Great God Wind art and the Great Shattering art. Bunan roared. He controlled the phantom of the Angel King to fight against Lu Ming with all his strength. Boom, boom, boom. Rumbling sounds echoed in the air. In an instant, there were 10 rumbling sounds. Finally, there was a loud bang. The angel sword in the phantom of the Angel King exploded. Lu Ming rushed over and attacked with all his might. He pierced through the head of the Angel King. Then, the phantom of the Angel King exploded. When the phantom of the Angel King exploded, Bunan suffered a backlash. He screamed and coughed up blood. His body was sent flying. Swish! Lu Ming followed up and punched Bunan's face. Bunan screamed in pain. His body fell heavily on the ground, creating a huge pit that was bigger than the one Lu Ming had created. Bunan was lying in the huge pit, vomiting blood. His body was twitching, and his face was swollen like a pig's head. Lu Ming stepped out and was about to fall into the huge pit. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Mu Yun, stop! How dare you? The other angels shouted. However, when they saw Lu Ming's cold gaze, they trembled in fear. They didn't dare to step forward. Chapter 4093. Mu Yun, please be merciful. At this time, Dong Yuanqing shouted. That's right, we still have to fight with the demons in the future. Bunan is an important battle force. Please spare his life. The demon genius from the demon clan also tried to persuade him. Their eyes were also filled with shock. Today's scene was truly out of their expectations. Now they finally understood why Lu Ming suddenly attacked Bunan. It was probably because Lu Ming himself felt that he was about to break through. So he attacked Lu Ming's opponent and used Bunan's pressure to help him break through. Many peerless monsters had such an experience. For example, they had done such a thing before. However, that was when their cultivation was still relatively low. Ever since they stepped into the Divine Lord realm, it was very difficult. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to break through. Not to mention the Divine Emperor realm. And Lu Ming, at the Divine Emperor realm, was actually able to borrow the pressure of the other party to break through. It was truly shocking. Once he broke through, he completely reversed the situation and suppressed Bunan, revealing a terrifying battle strength. This kind of battle strength had already surpassed theirs. Therefore, they had no choice but to be cautious with their tone towards Lu Ming. It's fine if you want me to let him go. Beg for mercy and apologize. Lu Ming looked coldly at Bunan below. The first time he met Bunan, the other party wanted to make a move on him and even wanted him to kneel down and apologize to Gabbert. He wanted to use the Dream Jade to record it. If not for Lu Ming's strength being strong enough and Ling Yue's help, and Bunan himself being worried that the battle would attract demons, things would not have ended so easily. Lu Ming was not such an easy person to talk to. If there was a chance, he would naturally take revenge. You want me to apologize? Impossible. Bunan roared, his face incomparably ferocious. Who was he? He was a peerless genius of the Angel Clan, a 12-winged angel, a candidate for the Universe Genius list. In the Angel Clan, his talent was not inferior to Gabbert's. If it weren't for the fact that he was younger than Gabbert and had a huge gap in cultivation, his status wouldn't be any lower than Gabbert's. With his status, being defeated by Lu Ming was already a great humiliation. Now, he had to apologize to Lu Ming. How was that possible? What did he do wrong? Impossible? All right, since you have the guts and aren't afraid of death, I'll fulfill your wish. Lu Ming coldly spoke. He clenched his fist in the air as a devil's sword materialized. His killing intent was as cold as ice. How dare you, Mu Yun? I am a 12-winged angel of the angel race. I am the pillar of the angel race. If you dare to kill me, you are courting death. The angel race will never let you off. Bunan roared. He was certain that Lu Ming would not dare to kill him. The other angels were still fine, but 12-winged angels were not to be underestimated. They were extremely rare, and every single one of them would be extraordinary when they grew up. A 12-winged angel had the chance to break through to the Almighty Realm. Once they broke through to the Almighty Realm, they would be the top experts in the universe. They were extremely important to a large race. Many of the powerful races on the primitive 10,000 races list didn't have any almighty realm existences. Once a race produced an almighty realm existence, the race's status in the primitive universe would skyrocket. The weight of their words in the heavenly palace would also increase. Being able to obtain a huge amount of resources for the race was crucial to the development of the race. This showed the importance of an almighty realm expert. At the same time, it also showed the importance of someone who had the chance to break through to the almighty realm. The angel race would definitely seek revenge if such an important person was killed by Lu Ming. Therefore, Bu Nan had nothing to fear. In fact, many people present also thought so. They thought that Lu Ming wouldn't dare to kill Bu Nan. We'll talk about the future later. If you don't apologize now, I'll feel uncomfortable. This is more important. Lu Ming's face revealed a sinister expression. He smiled sinisterly and pounced on Bu Nan like a bolt of lightning. The devil's sword in his hand whistled as it slashed out.
Splat.
Blood splattered 30 feet away. When Lu Ming charged out of the crater again, he had a head in his hand. It was Bu Nan's head. No, no, no. This time, Bu Nan really screamed in terror. Bu Nan wasn't dead yet. A person like him wouldn't die after his head was cut off. He was only heavily injured. No? Didn't you say that I wouldn't dare to kill you? Lu Ming's voice grew colder. He held Bu Nan's head in his hand. If he exerted a little force, Bu Nan's head would explode. The soul residing inside would also be annihilated instantly. Bu Nan was almost scared to death. From Lu Ming's voice and Lu Ming's expression, he could feel that Lu Ming really dared to kill him. This was a crazy person. He was capable of doing anything. He had a feeling that if he continued to be stubborn, Lu Ming wouldn't hesitate to shatter his head. Around them, the others also looked at each other. They saw the horror in each other's eyes. They didn't expect Lu Ming to be so bold. He even dared to kill a 12-winged angel of the angel race. Many people's fear of Lu Ming deepened. Okay, I apologize. I admit my mistake. Bu Nan roared. In the end, he chose to submit. What did you do wrong? Lu Ming said lightly. I shouldn't have interfered in the matter between you and Gabbert. I shouldn't have been so arrogant. If I meet you in the future, I'll take the initiative to avoid you. Bu Nan roared. In order to survive, he was ready to risk everything. Humph, I'll spare your life this time. Lu Ming snorted. With a wave of his hand, Bu Nan's head flew out. It flew to his body and connected with his neck. It quickly stuck together. Huff, huff, Bu Nan gasped for breath. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. The reason why Lu Ming didn't kill Bu Nan wasn't because he didn't dare. He was indeed a little afraid of the angel race, but not to the extent that he didn't dare. The main reason was that the battle with the demons wasn't over yet. He still needed Bu Nan. Bu Nan, Dong Yuanqing, and Dong Yuanqing had practiced their joint attack for many days. It was a great help at a critical moment, because even though Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the 5th godly emperor realm, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to defeat Eugene alone. He needed the help of others. Taking this into account, Lu Ming spared Bu Nan's life. Everyone, the demons have already set off for a long time. There's no time to lose. We should set off now. If we're late, the demons will take away both maps. Then, we won't be able to reverse the situation. Lu Ming said. His voice spread throughout the entire area. That's right. It's time to set off. Now that Brother Mu's cultivation has broken through and his fighting strength has increased greatly, it's the luck of the heavenly palace. Dong Yuanqing said. When they heard Dong Yuanqing, many people's faces were filled with joy. Indeed, Lu Ming's fighting strength had increased greatly. He could even defeat Bu Nan. It could be said that he was the strongest cultivator in the heavenly palace. It was a good thing for everyone. Chapter 4094. Soon, everyone made a final decision. They would set off immediately to fight for the map with the demons in front of the black and white light pillars. At the very least, they had to get the map of the heavenly palace. Only then would they have a chance of winning. After making up their minds, they did not hesitate and set off immediately. They left the area and rushed toward the black and white light pillars. Bunan was also recovering from his injuries with the help of the other two prodigies of the angel race. Although his injuries were quite serious, Lu Ming knew how to control his strength. They were all superficial wounds and did not hurt his core. Therefore, he recovered quickly. It would not be long before he recovered to his peak. They were very fast. The black and white light pillars were getting clearer and clearer. The sky was covered by the black and white light. Even on the other side of the planet, they would be able to see it. It was conceivable that it would not be long before all the prodigies and demons of the heavenly palace who were participating in the battle arrived here. They were not far away from the black and white light pillars. Soon, they were close. Along the way, they did not encounter a single demon. That is, suddenly, everyone was shocked. They could not help but widen their eyes and look ahead. In front of them, there was a huge mountain that stood between heaven and earth. The mountain was extremely majestic. It pierced through the clouds and occupied a very large area. At the top of the mountain, two black and white light pillars were entangled and shot into the sky. What surprised them was that this mountain did not exist before. Otherwise, it would have been found long ago. This mountain must have been hidden before. It would only appear when the two sides were almost done killing each other. Kill, rumble. Violent roars and battle cries could be heard from the mountain peak. They looked from afar and saw a large number of demons rushing toward the top of the mountain. However, they were blocked. On the mountain peak, there were many monsters condensed from rocks. They were constantly attacking the demons. The battle above was very fierce. Seeing this, everyone in the heavenly palace heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that the demons had not gotten the map yet. It seemed that it would not be easy to get the map. This mountain peak was blocked by monsters condensed from rocks. If they wanted to rush to the top of the mountain and get the map, they would have to defeat these rock monsters. What should we do? Someone asked. Many people couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's current combat strength was already the strongest in the heavenly palace. Unknowingly, his position in the hearts of the people had risen a lot. If they had any opinions, the first thing they thought of was Lu Ming. They wanted to know Lu Ming's opinion. We're not in a hurry now. It won't be that easy for the demons to rush to the top of the mountain. Now, the people from the other half of this temporary planet are probably also rushing here. Let's hide and wait here. When the other people from the heavenly palace arrive, we'll stop them and meet up with them. When the last demon is about to reach the top of the mountain, we'll attack and take the map in one fell swoop. Lu Ming voiced his thoughts. Good idea. Everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, given the current situation, this was the best solution. They could meet up with the others from the heavenly palace to increase their strength. And when the demons rushed to the top of the mountain and fought with the rock monsters, their strength would be weakened. Although as time passed, other demons would come and meet up with Eugene and the others, which would increase the demons' strength overall. For the heavenly palace, the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. I'll set up a concealment formation, Dong Yuanqing said. Then, he began to move. His figure flickered on the ground. With every move he made, densely packed runes would spread out and enter the ground, disappearing without a trace. Of course, Dong Yuanqing couldn't emit runes from every pore on his body like Dandan, but his attainment in rune formations was amazing. Among the younger generation, Lu Ming was second only to Dandan in terms of rune formations. Not long after, an illusory formation was successfully set up. As long as they were in the illusory formation, the demons wouldn't be able to find them. Then, they sent people out to ambush nearby. As long as they saw the people from the heavenly palace coming, they would stop them and bring them here. After everything was set up, they waited quietly. Lu Ming and the others continued to look at the mountain from afar. The demons and the rock monsters on the mountain were still fighting fiercely. It was obvious that Eugene was at the forefront of the demons. The demonic blade in his hand was extremely powerful. Following closely behind Eugene were a few demons who weren't weaker than Dong Yuanqing and Bunan. Luoshi was among them. However, the rock monsters on the mountain were also very strong. They seemed to have been refined by a master. Their bodies were as hard as divine weapons. Even the strongest Eugene had to slash a rock monster several times to cut it open. So, it wouldn't be easy for the demons to reach the mountain and get the map. This made Lu Ming and the others feel more at ease. They had enough time to wait. Time passed quickly. After a while, Lu Ming and the others finally saw the first batch of reinforcements. A top demon from the Battle Saint tribe, who was also a 6th-level godly emperor, had arrived. He could fight opponents 4 levels higher than him. He was also a candidate for the Universe Prodigy list. There were more than 10 people with him. They came from the other side of the planet. When this person came, he immediately greeted Battle God Yuanwen. Although this person was talented, he was still lacking compared to Battle God Yuanwen. His status in the Battle Saint tribe wasn't as high as Battle God Yuanwen's. "How's the situation in your area?" Battle God Yuanwen asked. The other party explained. Previously, Eugene had led a group of demons and wiped out half of the planet. There was still half of the planet left. The demons on that half of the planet and the geniuses from the Heavenly Palace were in a chaotic battle. There weren't any strong demons that broke the balance. Both sides had suffered losses and victories. It wasn't a one-sided battle. Then, they saw the black and white light pillars covering the sky. They knew that the map of the Land of Fortune had appeared, so they hurried over. Then, Battle God Yuanwen explained the situation here. The other party's expression was very serious. Obviously, he didn't expect that there would be a strong demon like Eugene. Later, as time passed, more and more experts from the Heavenly Palace came to gather. 2 days later, there were already more than 800 people who came to gather. Among them, there were 3 more geniuses who weren't weaker than Bunan and Dong Yuanqing. These 3 were the 3 strongest people on the other half of the planet. Chapter 4095. The Heavenly Palace had 3 more top-notch geniuses and nearly 800 people. Their combat strength had increased tremendously. However, the evil demons had also gained many experts. Their numbers had doubled. Among them, there was no lack of evil demons at Luo Shi's level. With the addition of a large number of evil demons, their speed was even faster. After 2 days, they were about to reach the peak of the mountain. Obviously, the map of the Land of Creation was at the peak of the mountain. "We can set off now." Lu Ming was the first to speak. This caused some people to be dissatisfied. These people were naturally those who had joined later, especially the few top-notch geniuses. Who was Lu Ming to be the first to speak as if he was giving orders? This made them very unhappy. What right did Lu Ming have? However, to their surprise, Dong Yuanqing and the others did not seem to have any objections. They all nodded in unison. They were quite puzzled. Dong Yuanqing and the others seemed to be listening to Lu Ming's opinion. Was there a mistake? However, this was not the time to argue. They suppressed the doubts in their hearts and prepared to set off. "Let's go," Lu Ming shouted in a low voice and took the lead to rush out. The others followed closely behind. They turned into streaks of rainbow light and flew toward the majestic mountain peak. With so many people moving together, the momentum was very shocking. They were immediately discovered by the evil demons. Clang, clang. On the mountain peak, Eugene slashed a rock monster in half with 2 consecutive slashes. He looked coldly at Lu Ming and the others. These people from the Heavenly Palace still dare to fight for the map. They are courting death. You guys take some people to stop the people from the Heavenly Palace. I will kill them after I get the map. Eugene said coldly. Don't worry. You don't have to do anything. These people from the Heavenly Palace are dead meat. Luo Shi smiled ferociously. His fierce eyes were already fixed on Lu Ming. This was the second time. Lu Ming had managed to escape twice. As someone whose combat strength was lower than his, this was the first time that he had escaped from his hands twice in a row. His desire to kill Lu Ming was extremely strong. Not more than 3 times. He swore that there would not be a third time. This time, he was going to twist Lu Ming's head off. About half of the evil demons turned and rushed down the mountain toward the people from the Heavenly Palace. Among them, there were 7 top-notch geniuses like Luo Shi. As for Eugene, he continued to kill the rock monsters and climbed up the mountain peak. Kill. Kill these scum from the Heavenly Palace. Calm. In the next moment, the 2 sides clashed. Lu Ming. On the other side, Luo Shi stared at Lu Ming all the time. At this moment, he stretched out his claws and crushed the heads of 2 Heavenly Palace geniuses. one in each hand. The other geniuses from the Heavenly Palace did not dare to get close to Luoshi at all. They kept a distance from him. Die, brat! Luoshi roared ferociously. A pair of huge evil demon wings flapped. With a terrifying gust of wind and a whistling sound, he rushed toward Lu Ming. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming also rushed toward Luoshi and threw out a punch. Watch me break your arm. Luoshi roared. His evil demon claws grabbed at Lu Ming's arm. Boom! Lu Ming's fist collided with Luoshi's evil demon claws. Crack! At the moment of collision, Luoshi's evil demon claws shook violently. His fingers made the sound of bones breaking. His arm shook violently. Not only did Luoshi's arm shake violently, but his body also shook violently and retreated violently. His ferocious face was full of astonishment and disbelief. He seemed to find it hard to believe that Lu Ming's strength had suddenly become so strong. It had only been a few days. How could Lu Ming's combat strength suddenly soar and even surpass his? In a battle between masters, the slightest difference could make a difference of 1,000 miles. A slight difference could determine life and death. Luoshi had never expected that Lu Ming's combat strength would be so strong that it surpassed his. Therefore, he was stunned for a moment. This moment was enough to determine his life and death. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His fists bombarded the void continuously, turning it into a hornet's nest. With Luoshi's combat strength, if he resisted with all his strength, he might be able to resist for a while. But now that he was stunned, his result was doomed. Bang! Puff! Flesh and blood splattered. Luoshi's burly body was directly penetrated by Lu Ming's fist force and was smashed into pieces. His head was also turned into minced meat under Lu Ming's fist force. A top genius of the evil demon was killed directly. The surrounding evil demons were stupefied. That scene was completely beyond their expectations. They hadn't thought that a strong evil demon who was second only to Eugene would be killed so easily. Boom! After killing Luoshi, Lu Ming didn't stop. He used his full strength. His entire body was covered in dazzling lights. He looked like a planet as he dashed towards a group of evil demons. Bang! 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 Those evil demons couldn't withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Lu Ming dashed forward, and those evil demons exploded like balloons. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Lu Ming grabbed the drops of evil demon's spirit blood and put them away. Lu Ming dashed forward, leaving behind a trail of blood and flesh. At least dozens of demon prodigies died in his hands. Then, Lu Ming dashed to the front of another top demon prodigy. That evil demon was also a cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer. He could fight cultivators who were 4 cultivation levels higher than him. He wasn't any weaker than Luoshi. Evil demon roar! Shouted that evil demon. A terrifying destructive strength emerged from his mouth and moved towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming struck with all his might. His fist penetrated the destructive force. His body dashed forward, and the fist force blasted toward the person like a meteor. Die! Shouted that evil demon furiously. He used his full strength to resist. However, even if he used his full strength, he couldn't compete with Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who had reached the 5th level of the God Emperor realm, was already half a level higher than Luoshi or the demon in front of him. It was like when Lu Ming had broken through to the 4th godly emperor layer and fought against Sa Dao. In terms of fighting strength, he was much stronger than Luoshi. Even though the evil demon could resist for a while, he couldn't compete with Luoshi. After a dozen attacks, the evil demon gave horrible shrieks and was blown away. His chest had been pierced by Lu Ming's punches. He was severely injured. Die! Lu Ming did not give the other party a chance to catch his breath at all. He stepped into the void and chased after him. More than 10 demon swords slashed toward his head and face. At the same time, the destructive fist force formed by the great divine wind skill and the great shattering skill bombarded him. That evil demon shouted furiously and tried to fight back, but it was useless. The next moment, his body was torn into pieces and Lu Ming grabbed the evil demon's spirit blood. Yet another top demon genius was slain. Chapter 4096. Lu Ming killed 2 top-notch demons in a row. He did it in an instant. His speed was too fast. At that moment, Eugene finally came back to his senses. He pulled a long face. "You want to die," shouted Eugene furiously. He gave up on attacking the top of the mountain and turned around to attack Lu Ming. However, there was still some distance between him and Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't stop. He continued attacking other demons. This time, Lu Ming didn't attack the strongest demons because they could resist Lu Ming for a while. If they saw Lu Ming coming, they would try to escape. It would be very difficult to kill them before Eugene arrived. Therefore, Lu Ming charged toward the demons who had weaker combat abilities but were extremely talented. For example, Sa Dao was one of them. They had the strength of the 5th Godly Emperor layer or lower, but they could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than them. Their cultivation level was a bit lower, but their potential wasn't any worse than Luo Shi's. Their blood was also very valuable. Even though there weren't many demons like that, there were still a few of them. Lu Ming threw himself at a demon with snow-white wings and threw a punch. When that demon saw Lu Ming coming, he was startled. He hastily retreated, but how could he be as fast as Lu Ming? The surging fist force surged towards the demon like raging waves, forming a crushing force. Facing that fist strength, it was like an ordinary person facing a tsunami. He couldn't escape. Either he would be swept away by the fist strength, or he would be destroyed by it. The devil chosen howled in rage. Flapping his devil wings, he brought forth a berserk energy that was bone-piercing cold, as though it wanted to freeze everything in its path. Actually, the space around him was frozen. He wanted to block Lu Ming's fist strength. Unfortunately, the difference between their fighting strength was too great. It was all in vain. Lin Feng's fist strength crushed everything, and the frozen space broke like a crystal. Then, the fist strength bombarded the demon's body. With a bang, the demon exploded. A drop of demon blood flew out, and Lu Ming caught it in his hand. He had obtained another drop of demon blood. He could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him. He was like a genius of the universe. Such people had unlimited potential. They had the opportunity to break through to the Demon King layer. They could exchange it for an incredible amount of merit points. Lu Ming had already obtained 5 drops of demon blood of that level. In the past, Samo Luo's demon blood was worth 60,000 merit points. That kind of demon blood, which could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him, was worth at least twice as much. "Die!" roared furiously. At this moment, his eyes were blood-red and filled with intense murderous intent. The demonic saber in his hands slashed violently toward Lu Ming. The scorching aura even burned the space. The saber gleam cut through the air and slashed at Lu Ming's head. "Demon sword!" Lu Ming shouted. He used the great demon sword technique. With a wave of his hand, a huge demon sword formed and pressed down on Eugene's blade. At the same time, Lu Ming's body exploded with dazzling light. Lu Ming had used all his strength and punched out. A demon sword and a fist strength, one in front and one behind, they collided with Eugene's blade. The demon sword bore the brunt of the impact. It clashed with Eugene's blade. The demon sword shook violently. It lasted for 2 breaths of time before shattering. Then, the blade and the fist strength collided. An even more intense explosion rang out as the terrifying force shattered the void. Even existences at the level of Dong Yuanqing and Bu Nan turned grim in the face of such a shockwave. But in the end, Lu Ming's fist strength couldn't block Eugene's blade and was split apart. At the moment of collision, Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. Although he was hit by the remaining blade light, Lu Ming wasn't injured. He just retreated far away with the help of the force. Sure enough, Eugene's battle strength is still higher than mine. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Eugene's combat power was extremely terrifying. Every inch of his muscles was filled with terrifying power, especially his demonic saber. Its power was even more terrifying. At the Divine Emperor realm, he could fight someone who was 5 levels higher than him. He was almost on par with Lu Ming. Eugene's battle strength was no weaker than the fighting god Yuanwen's. His cultivation was 1 level higher than Lu Ming's. Naturally, Lu Ming was no match for him. However, Lu Ming didn't intend to fight Eugene head-on. He retreated and changed direction. He rushed to the top of the mountain. You want to leave? Die. Eugene roared and chased after Lu Ming. He remembered that Lu Ming had fought with Luo Shi last time. At that time, he was no match for Luo Shi. But in just a few days, Lu Ming could easily kill Luo Shi and even contend with him. This kind of person was too terrifying. Today, he must get rid of Lu Ming. However, he couldn't catch up with Lu Ming in a short time, because this mountain was full of rock monsters. Although many of them had been killed by the devil, there were still many left, especially at the top of the mountain, where there were even more rock monsters. Lu Ming's figure flickered a few times and arrived at the mountainside. At this time, several rock monsters roared and rushed towards Lu Ming. These rock monsters were similar in structure to the rocks under his feet, but they had been condensed by the Lord's great divine ability. They became very solid and dense. At the same time, they were extremely hard, even harder than a divine weapon. Moreover, they had different appearances. Some looked like desolate beasts, some looked like humans, and some even looked like devils. Suddenly, 3 rock monsters charged towards Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming's 3 vital points. Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique. His body was always shrouded by a layer of divine wind. He didn't fight these rock monsters head-on. His figure flashed and seemed to produce phantoms. With a few flashes, he perfectly dodged the attacks of the 3 rock monsters. He appeared behind the 3 rock monsters and continued to rush towards the top of the mountain. The higher he went, the more rock monsters there were. However, Lu Ming relied on the great godly wind skill to evade the attacks of these rock monsters one by one. For those that he could not evade, Lu Ming waved his fist to block them. Very soon, he had left dozens of rock monsters behind him. He kept approaching the peak of the mountain. As for Eugene's movement technique, he wasn't as fast as Lu Ming. He relied on the devil saber in his hand. Get lost, Eugene roared. He kept slashing with his devil saber, flaying the rock monsters one by one. Swish, swish, swish. One rock monster after another flew out like a rubber ball. Some even flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming had to focus on dodging. As a result, his speed was slower. Eugene attacked crazily. With this move, the distance between him and Lu Ming was slowly closing. Chapter 4097. Eugene used his violent combat power to send the rock monsters flying as he chased after Lu Ming. The distance between them was closing. However, when Lu Ming saw that the distance between them was closing, he immediately changed his direction and moved horizontally, increasing the distance between them again. Eugene chased after Lu Ming several times, but was unable to catch up with him. He was furious, but he was not an ordinary person after all, so he quickly calmed down. Then I'll let this kid live for a while longer. As long as I get the 2 maps and obtain the creation left behind by the Demon Lord, then the Heavenly Palace will definitely lose. Even if I'm the only one left, I can still kill everyone from the Heavenly Palace. Thinking of this, a cold light flashed in Eugene's eyes. He stopped chasing after Lu Ming and continued to rush to the top of the mountain. To be honest, he did not care about the lives of the other demon prodigies. Even if they were all dead, he did not care. As long as he got the 2 maps, the people from the Heavenly Palace would not be able to obtain the creation. Once he obtained the creation, his combat power would be even more invincible. In that case, no matter what the Heavenly Palace did, they would not be able to stop him. He would hunt down the people from the Heavenly Palace all over the world. Sooner or later, he would kill everyone from the Heavenly Palace and obtain this victory. Therefore, the 2 maps were the key. He gave up on Lu Ming and rushed to the maps. Lu Ming's expression changed. Of course, he knew that the 2 maps were the key. If Eugene got the 2 maps, it would be useless even if he killed all the other demons. Therefore, Lu Ming also rushed to the top of the mountain from another direction. Eugene relied on his powerful strength to rush forward at an extremely fast speed. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was faster. Coupled with his combat power, he was not slower than Eugene in terms of speed. The 2 of them approached the top of the mountain from 2 different directions. At the bottom of the mountain, the demons and the Heavenly Palace were fighting fiercely. The battle was getting more and more intense. Originally, the demons had the upper hand in terms of both quantity and quality. Not to mention other things, the Heavenly Palace had fewer top-level combatants. However, after Lu Ming killed 2 of their top-level combatants, the Heavenly Palace had the upper hand in terms of top-level combatants. They had 1 more person than the demons. In this way, although the Heavenly Palace had fewer people, they were not at a disadvantage after a round of fighting. Instead, they had a slight advantage. During the battle, the demons and Heavenly Palace's prodigies were attracted to Eugene and Lu Ming. That guy wants to compete with Eugene for the token. He's courting death. Eugene will definitely be able to get both maps. The Heavenly Palace is doomed. Many demons. On the other hand, the people from the Heavenly Palace were secretly praying that Lu Ming would be able to snatch the map. At the very least, they had to snatch the map from the Heavenly Palace. Only then would they have hope. While they were fighting, they were also paying attention to the 2 figures who were rushing to the top of the mountain because these 2 people would affect the whole battle. Eugene and Lu Ming kept rushing to the top of the mountain. The closer they got to the top of the mountain, the more rock monsters there were. They were rushing towards them in groups. Swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming pushed the great godly wind to the extreme. His body was like a ghost, like a breeze, as if he was weightless. He kept flashing and dodging the rock monsters. However, there were too many rock monsters, and they were not afraid of death. There were bound to be some who could not be dodged. Roar! A rock monster, like a demon, waved its stone fist and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming threw out a punch and collided with the rock monster's fist. With a bang, the rock monster's body was sent flying, knocking down several rock monsters behind it. It's really hard, Lu Ming muttered to himself. With his current cultivation level, the power of his punch was astonishing. Even an ordinary cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer would be smashed to pieces. But the rock monster was only sent flying. A few cracks appeared on its fist, but it did not explode. But that was enough. Lu Ming's silhouette flickered. He jumped over the rock monsters and continued moving forward. Just like that, Lu Ming used his incredible fighting strength and agility to reach the top of the mountain. But because there were too many rock monsters, it was not easy to reach the top of the mountain in a short time. Otherwise, the evil demon army would have been able to reach the top of the mountain in 2 days. After 2 hours, Lu Ming finally reached the top of the mountain. At this point, Lu Ming could already see the scenery at the top of the mountain clearly. There was nothing at the top of the mountain. There were only 2 round beads. The 2 round beads were the size of a fist. One was as black as ink, the other was as white as snow. The 2 round beads were next to each other and were emitting a resplendent light. The 2 intertwined beams of light, one black and one white, were emitted from the 2 beads. Those were the maps of the 2 places of good fortune. The black bead was the map of the evil demon army's place of good fortune. The white bead was the map of the Heavenly Palace's place of good fortune. Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. But then Lu Ming's expression suddenly changed. This was because he saw Eugene. Eugene was actually faster than him by a bit. "Piss off," shouted Eugene. His blade dashed to the sky, and a few terrifying blade shadows appeared. The last few rock monsters were sent flying. One of them was even cut in half. Swish! Without the rock monsters blocking him, Eugene flew towards the 2 round beads. Oh no! Lu Ming roared in his heart. He attacked with all his strength. Boom! 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 He threw a dozen punches at 7 or 8 rock monsters, causing them to stagger back. Lu Ming sped up at full speed. In a flash, he dashed past 7 to 8 rock monsters. However, his speed was still slower than Eugene's. Eugene's figure was already close to the 2 round beads. His eyes were shining with greed. Both maps are mine. Victory will be mine in the end. Eugene roared in his heart. He stretched out a claw and grabbed at the 2 round beads. Just as he was about to grab the 2 round beads, the 2 round beads vibrated slightly. The black and white beams of light that were emitted also converged. An invisible force burst out of the 2 round beads, as if to resist Eugene's claws. For a moment, Eugene's claws were blocked. Eugene's expression changed and he roared, "Break!" He used all of his strength to grab the demon claw. Buzz! The 2 round beads vibrated violently. The force seemed to be scattered. Following that, the 2 round beads actually flew out in 2 different directions with a swoosh. Damn it! Eugene roared. He flapped his demon wings and rushed towards the black round beads. Chapter 4098. Eugene was the first to rush towards the black bead. Before he even reached it, he had already clawed at the air. A huge demonic claw was formed and sealed off a part of the void, enveloping the black bead within. This time, the black bead could not escape. It was caught in Eugene's hand. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes shone with excitement. He blasted away the last rock monster and rushed towards the white bead. The white bead was the map of the heavenly palace. Since Eugene had already obtained the black bead, he had to get the white bead. You're courting death. Eugene's eyes flashed. He suddenly turned around and slashed at Lu Ming with his demonic saber. I can't avoid it. Lu Ming had a resolute look on his face. He could avoid this saber radiance, but he could not. If he did, he would lose the initiative and the white bead would definitely be taken away by Eugene. Block it. Lu Ming let out a low growl. Every cell in his body was trembling. He unleashed all his strength in an instant. Boom. A fist energy pierced through the void and met Eugene's saber radiance. The two collided for the second time. This time, Eugene hurriedly slashed with his saber and did not use his full strength. The two attacks collided in the void and were annihilated. However, Eugene's saber radiance was still stronger. A wisp of residual saber energy slashed Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body was pushed back several steps. A wound appeared on his body, almost splitting Lu Ming's body apart. However, Lu Ming was able to withstand it. Ignoring his injury, Lu Ming continued to rush towards the white bead. Don't even think about it. Eugene roared and rushed towards the white bead with all his strength. He was very fast. Great binding technique. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted softly and used one of the 3,000 ancient mystic skills, the Great Binding Skill. An invisible force wrapped around Eugene like a python. The needle-like force pierced into Eugene's body, trying to lock him up. Eugene's body stiffened for a moment. That moment of rigidity was enough. Lu Ming grabbed it with all his might. One of his palms expanded rapidly, enveloping the white round bead and grabbing it. You're courting death. Eugene roared angrily. His whole body was like an erupting volcano. Demonic chi rushed out of every pore on his body. The power of the Great Binding Technique was quickly disintegrating. Sure enough, it can only trap him for a moment. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He had wanted to kill Eugene, but it was obviously impossible. Although the other party was bound for an instant, every inch of the other party's body was filled with powerful energy. Even if he did not take the white bead and directly attack the other party, it would be difficult to kill the other party. Therefore, Lu Ming did not hesitate. He turned around and ran down the mountain. Boom! Eugene finally broke free from the shackles of the Great Binding Skill and charged toward Lu Ming. The two rushed down the mountain, one in front and one behind. I've got the map. Retreat. Lu Ming let out a long howl and his voice spread far and wide. The people from the heavenly palace were overjoyed. They did not have much hope. After all, Lu Ming was not as strong as Eugene. It would be difficult to get the map in front of Eugene. They did not expect Lu Ming to get the map. Let's go. Retreat. Some of the top fighters from the heavenly palace shouted. Then, they all retreated. The demons naturally did not want to let the people from the heavenly palace go. However, the heavenly palace had the upper hand in terms of the number of top fighters. Therefore, they retreated smoothly. All the geniuses from the heavenly palace gathered together and blocked the demons' attack with a wave of attacks. Then, they flew back. Lu Ming and Eugene, one in front and one behind, quickly arrived at the foot of the mountain. There was a strong pressure on the mountain, so they could not fly. However, there was no pressure at the foot of the mountain. Whoosh! Lu Ming rose into the sky and rushed in the direction where the geniuses from the heavenly palace had retreated. Stop him! Eugene shouted. He ordered the demons to stop Lu Ming. Stop that kid! Stop him! The other demons shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming suddenly changed his direction and rushed to the right. There were fewer demons there. Stay! There was another top demon in the right front. He was not weaker than Luo Shi. He attacked Lu Ming with all his might. He wanted to stop Lu Ming. As long as Eugene arrived, Lu Ming would not be able to escape. You're asking for it. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He punched out. Lu Ming's punch directly defeated the opponent's attack. Then, he used the Great Binding spell. This top abyssal freak's body suddenly stiffened. His strength was far inferior to Eugene's. The Great Binding spell could at least trap him for a few breaths of time. To elites like Lu Ming and the rest, a few breaths of time was considered very long. Boom! Lu Ming rushed past. The demon's body exploded. A drop of demon spirit blood was caught in Lu Ming's hand. However, this demon still managed to obstruct Lu Ming for a while. Eugene had already arrived and slashed out a ray of saber gleam. Lu Ming tried his best to dodge, but he could not completely avoid it. The blade light slashed his body. Lu Ming's body was directly split in half. If an ordinary person's body was split in half, even if they did not die, they would be seriously injured. It could even be said that they were dead. This was because the destructive power in the blade light could directly annihilate the soul in the sea of consciousness. However, there was no soul in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. His soul was scattered to every cell in his body. As long as Lu Ming's cells were not annihilated, he would not die. Therefore, his body that was split in half did not stop at all. It continued to fly forward rapidly. In the process of flying, the two halves of his body automatically approached and stuck together. This monster! Eugene's heart trembled violently. He had a strong fear of Lu Ming. At the same time, his desire to kill Lu Ming was unprecedentedly strong. He flapped his demon wings frantically and chased after Lu Ming. Both of them were very fast. After Lu Ming used the Great Godwind technique, he was extremely agile and fast in a small area. He was even faster than Eugene. However, when flying in a straight line, Eugene's demon wings frantically flapped. He was not slower than Lu Ming. The two of them, one in front and one behind, quickly crossed a long distance. Soon, they were about to catch up with the geniuses of the Heavenly Palace. Quick, go to the west. I've set up a formation there. We'll be there soon. We can escape there. Dong Yuanqing shouted. The geniuses of the Heavenly Palace quickly flew to the west. At this time, they saw Lu Ming and Eugene. Their expressions changed. Chapter 4099. When the Sky Prides of the Heavenly Palace saw Eugene and Lu Ming chasing after them, their expressions changed. One of them was fearful of Eugene's strength, and the other was worried about Lu Ming. They were not worried about Lu Ming's life, but the map in Lu Ming's hands. The map could not fall into Eugene's hands, as it was their last hope for victory. We must protect the map. Yes, we must not let the map fall into the hands of the devil. Let's help Mu Yun restrain Eugene and find a chance to escape. Dong Yuanqing and the other strongest Sky Prides transmitted their voices. Bu Nan's face was gloomy. Although he was extremely unwilling to help Lu Ming, it was related to the victory of the Heavenly Palace and his own life. Hence, he had to help even if he was unwilling. Swoosh swoosh, a few figures flashed out. They were Dong Yuanqing, Bu Nan, and the monster from the devil race. The three of them had cultivated a joint attack technique. Working together, they could restrain Eugene to a certain extent. Although there were a few geniuses who were not weaker than them, they did not have a joint attack technique. They could not restrain Eugene. So they continued to lead the people of the Heavenly Palace to the array formation in the west. Kill! Dong Yuanqing and the other two shouted and performed the combined attack technique. The three of them formed a mysterious trajectory and flashed. A divine light burst out from the middle of the three of them and attacked Eugene. Eugene slashed out with his saber and destroyed the divine light, but his body was also blocked. You are courting death. When Eugene saw that the people from the Heavenly Palace dared to take the initiative to attack him, his murderous intent soared. He roared and activated his violent devilish chi and slashed out with his saber. This was Eugene's full-strength saber. Its power was extremely terrifying, and it was much stronger than the previous one. Dong Yuanqing and Bu Nan looked grave. In the face of Eugene's strongest attack, they did not dare to face it head-on. They could only passively defend. They performed the combined attack technique and formed an ancient tortoise shell. Eugene's saber light bombarded the tortoiseshell and split it in half. However, Eugene's attack was blocked in the end. Boom! Eugene attacked with his blade, and there was a brief change in his aura. Lu Ming would not miss such an opportunity. He punched with all his strength, and the fist power roared out, crushing towards Eugene. Slash! Eugene roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his saber, splitting apart Lu Ming's fist energy. However, his body shook slightly, and he took 2 steps back. "You're courting death," Eugene roared furiously. The demonic aura seemed to have materialized. Just as he was about to slash at Lu Ming with all his might, Dong Yuanqing and the other 2 performed a joint attack. A beam of divine light blasted toward Eugene. This made Eugene furious. Regardless of whether it was Lu Ming or Dong Yuanqing and the other 2's combined attack, they were no match for him in a one-on-one battle. However, when the 2 of them joined forces, they were able to restrain him greatly. This was because he could not ignore the attacks from Lu Ming or Dong Yuanqing's group. If he did, it would cause him great harm. He had to concentrate on dealing with it. In this way, he could not concentrate on dealing with one side. He could only divide his strength and attack Lu Ming and Dong Yuanqing's group at the same time. If his strength was divided, he could not crush either side. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming successfully blocked Eugene's saber light. Although he took several steps back, it was not like before, where he would be seriously injured after blocking the attack. In this way, Lu Ming and Dong Yuanqing's group adopted a wandering method. When Eugene attacked, they mainly defended, and then took the opportunity to launch a counterattack. For a time, they actually managed to pin Eugene down. The others from the Heavenly Palace took the opportunity to distance themselves and disappeared in the west. Soon, Lu Ming and Dong Yuanqing's group had been in a stalemate with Eugene for more than 10 minutes. At this time, Lu Ming and Dong Yuanqing were secretly communicating with each other. They retreated to the west as they fought. Although they could pin down Dong Yuanqing, it was impossible for them to defeat him. Moreover, the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. This was because the combined attack of Dong Yuanqing and the other 2 consumed a lot of energy. The longer it dragged on, the weaker it would be. In the end, they would definitely not be a match for Eugene, and their combined attack would be broken. This was also because Lu Ming was holding Eugene back. Otherwise, Dong Yuanqing and the other 2 would not be able to hold Eugene back for so long. It was already good enough that they could hold him back for more than 10 moves. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. Eugene was extremely furious. The more he fought, the braver he became. His demonic saber slashed out, forcing Lu Ming, Dong Yuanqing, and the others to passively defend and retreat. The muscles all over his body bulged, and his body became more and more ferocious. What? Swish! Swish! They were like a few shooting stars, flying across the starry sky as they fought. After a while, "We're here. The formation I set up is below. We can go there," Dong Yuanqing said. Lu Ming looked down and saw a stone forest below. This stone forest was the formation. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this time, 2 more saber lights slashed towards Lu Ming and Dong Yuanqing. Lu Ming waved his fists continuously. A terrifying attack gathered and finally formed a huge fist. It rushed out and collided with Eugene's saber light. With a loud bang, the fist that Lu Ming had condensed exploded. With the help of this force, Lu Ming's body fell toward the bottom of the stone forest. On the other side, Dong Yuanqing and the others had also formed a tortoise shell. Under the saber light, the tortoise shell exploded. They also borrowed the force to fall down the stone forest. In the stone forest, there was a formation within a formation. There was an escape formation hidden within the illusory formation. The people from the Heavenly Palace had obviously left through this formation. As soon as Lu Ming and the others landed, the formation was immediately activated and they successfully left. On the other hand, Eugene was furious. He bombarded the stone forest and destroyed it. However, he had already lost track of Lu Ming and the rest. "Damn it!" Eugene roared. After a while, he gradually calmed down. "Now, I have to find the place of creation left by the Devil Lord as soon as possible. I'll get the creation inside and then kill everyone from the Heavenly Palace," Eugene whispered. The murderous intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Then, he took out the black ball and injected demonic chi. Buzz. Suddenly, the black ball vibrated. The surface of the ball glowed and some patterns appeared on it. These patterns were a map. Eugene's eyes flashed as he memorized these patterns. I've heard that the land of creation will be obstructed by the master-level experts of the heavenly palace. It's better to meet up with the others. Although those people are useless, they can still provide some help and save some energy. Eugene whispered a few times, and then left to meet up with the other demons. They then followed the map to find the place of creation left by the Devil Lord. Chapter 4100. At this moment, Lu Ming and the rest had arrived at the place where they had been last time. Sure enough, the people from the heavenly palace were all here. When they saw Lu Ming and the rest appear, they immediately surrounded them and looked at Lu Ming with burning eyes. How is it? Did you keep the map? The demons didn't come after us, right? The crowd asked one after another. A white bead appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The crowd was silent at first, but then they all cheered. Even Dong Yuanqing and the rest were excited. They had the map. This was the map that led to the land of creation that the divine master of the heavenly palace had set up. As long as they had this map, they still had hope and a chance to defeat the demons. Otherwise, the demons had Eugene and they would only end up defeated. This time, they could not afford to lose because only death would await them if they failed. Let's take a look at the map. Where does it lead to? Someone said impatiently. Lu Ming did not say much. He looked at Dong Yuanqing and said, "Brother Dong Yuanqing, here is the map. Take a look." With that, Lu Ming threw the white bead to Dong Yuanqing. Lu Ming was more or less cautious. This white bead was refined by the divine master of the heavenly palace. If he injected forbidden energy into it, he was afraid that the divine master would sense it afterward. Although this was not necessarily possible, he had to be cautious. Dong Yuanqing took the white bead in surprise, as if he was surprised that Lu Ming would give it to him. "Please." Lu Ming smiled. Dong Yuanqing nodded and slowly injected his divine energy into the white bead. The white bead vibrated, and then patterns appeared on its surface, similar to the black bead that the demons had. The map. Everyone's eyes lit up and focused on it, clearly recording the patterns on it. In a short while, they had recorded the map. There's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately. Otherwise, if the demons get their creation first, we'll be in trouble, Dong Yuanqing said. Everyone nodded their heads. Naturally, they had no objections. After the discussion, they left the place. Following the map's instructions, they headed north. The journey was not short, but there were no demons blocking the way. They flew at full speed and were still very fast. After a little more than a day, they arrived at a flat area. This planet was refined by the joint efforts of the lords. Everywhere was filled with protruding rocks. Flat areas were rare. According to the map, the target was here. Wong. At this moment, the white bead began to violently tremble. It began to emit a pure white light. Then, the white bead flew out of Dong Yuanqing's hand and rapidly grew in size. It sank into the ground and disappeared. Rumble. In the next moment, the ground shook violently. Retreat. Everyone retreated in shock. Gotcha. Asterisk crack. Asterisk cracks appeared on the ground like a spider web, densely covering the entire ground. Then, the rocks on the ground exploded, and a huge monster emerged from the ground. It turned out that the land of creation was hidden underground. Dust and debris flew everywhere. After a while, when the dust and debris dissipated, everyone finally saw the appearance of the huge monster. It was actually a flight of stairs. The stairs were pure white. From the bottom to the top, there were 9 stairs. After the 9 stairs, there was a platform. On the platform, there was a ball of light floating. They could clearly see a set of armor in the light. It was a set of bronze armor. Everyone's eyes burned with passion. The armor was definitely a creation left behind by a Lord God. They looked up the platform and saw 9 more stairs. There was another platform above the 9 stairs. There was also a ball of light on the platform. There was another set of armor in the light. This set of armor was silver in color. It was a set of silver armor. That was the second platform. That was not the end. There was a third platform. There were 9 more stairs on the second platform. Above those 9 stairs was the third platform. There was also a ball of light on the third platform. There was another set of armor in the light. It was a set of golden armor. That was still not the end. There were 9 more stairs on the third platform. After that, there was a fourth platform. There was another set of armor on the fourth platform. The armor was purplish gold. That was finally the end. 4 flights of stairs, 4 platforms, 4 sets of armor. This was obviously a creation left behind by the Lord God of the heavenly palace. The higher the level of the armor. Charge. The creation is mine. Many people showed a burning light. Their bodies turned into rays of light and rushed toward the stairs. However, when they got close to the stairs, a large amount of demonic chi suddenly spread out around the stairs. The demonic chi covered the sky and the sun. A large number of demons walked out from the demonic chi. It's the demons. Did the demons set up an ambush here in advance? Many people shouted in shock. No, these demons are not real. They are not alive. They have no life aura. They are condensed from the demonic chi. Someone saw the situation. Yes, the Lord of the demons set up a defensive measure here. Someone said. Before they came in, they already knew that the master-level figures of the demons would set up defensive measures in the land of good fortune of the heavenly palace, and the master-level figures of the heavenly palace would set up defensive measures in the land of good fortune of the demons. How can we break through the defensive measures set up by the demons, Lord? Someone shouted with a change of expression. Don't panic. The Lord of the demons will not go all out. If that is the case, there is no need to set up a land of creation for this competition. It must be within the range of what we can handle. The Lord God of the heavenly palace must have checked it, someone said. Everyone was relieved. Thinking about it, the Lord of their side must have checked it. It was impossible that he would let them suffer. It could be guessed that the defensive measures of the 2 lands of creation should be about the same. Charge. After everyone's hearts calmed down, their courage increased greatly. With a loud shout, they all rushed in the direction of the stairs. Kill. The demons condensed from the demonic chi also roared. They waved all kinds of weapons and attacked the people of the heavenly palace. The 2 sides collided, and there was a violent explosion. However, at the moment of collision, some people died. Some of the weaker ones were directly killed by the demons. Oh no, these demons are so strong. Retreat! Retreat quickly! Many people shouted and retreated frantically. Originally, there were more than 1,000 people on the heavenly palace's side. In an instant, at least 500 or 600 people retreated frantically and left the battlefield. There were still a few hundred people left. They continued to fight with all their might. Chapter 41:01. The remaining few hundred people were very powerful. At the very least, they were able to contend with these evil demons condensed from devilish chi. But there were too many demons in the baleful demon chi. It wasn't easy to get to the top of the stairs. Only some of the stronger ones could continue to charge forward. Among the hundreds of people, Lu Ming's speed was undoubtedly the fastest. His entire body was shrouded in dazzling rays of light. Both of his fists were not punching out. Every time he punched out, a demon would explode and turn back into demonic aura. However, after those demons exploded and turned back into baleful demon chi, they condensed again and charged at Lu Ming. It seemed like there were too many demons to kill, but those demons couldn't stop Lu Ming. Lu Ming kept moving forwards, and the distance between him and the others increased. After a short time, Lu Ming successfully broke through the demon's encirclement and landed on the first flight of stairs. Initially, Lu Ming wanted to fly directly to the highest platform. However, a powerful force was suppressing him and he could not fly up at all. Lu Ming knew he was thinking too much. If he could fly to the top of the stairs, he wouldn't have needed those stairs. He landed on the bottom flight of stairs. When Lu Ming landed on the first step, the figure of a demon emerged from the top of the stairs. That demon immediately charged at Lu Ming. It wasn't weak. It had the strength of the 7th Godly Emperor layer. A 7th Godly Emperor layer cultivator was nothing in front of Lu Ming. He punched the demon and it exploded. Lu Ming took a step forward and landed on the second step. Immediately, more demons appeared. This time, there were 3 of them. 3 demons of the 7th godly emperor layer. But even if they had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer, in front of Lu Ming, he could defeat them in one punch. With a single punch, the 3 demons were unable to put up any resistance and collapsed as well. Then, he landed on the 3rd flight of stairs. On the 3rd flight of stairs, 9 demons of the 7th godly emperor layer appeared. He punched them and they passed. On the 4th flight of stairs, a demon of the 8th godly emperor layer appeared. He also punched them and they died. On the 5th flight of stairs, the 6th flight of stairs, the further he went, the stronger the demons were. In the end, a demon of the 9th godly emperor layer appeared. Of course, it couldn't stop Lu Ming. Lu Ming quickly landed on the 1st flight of stairs. On the 1st flight of stairs, there was a bronze armor. It looked extraordinary. However, Lu Ming pondered for a while and decided not to take the armor. It was the 1st flight of stairs, the weakest one. Of course, he would take the strongest one. Lu Ming's target, the 1st flight of stairs, the 1st flight of stairs. At the very least, he had to get the golden armor. Only then would he have a chance of winning. Lu Ming continued to step forward and landed on the 1st armor on the 2nd flight of stairs. However, the 2nd flight of steps was completely different from the 1st flight of steps. On the 2nd flight of stairs, there were no demons. There was only pressure. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body. However, even though the pressure was terrifying, it was still bearable for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's muscles trembled, and he pushed the pressure away. He continued on the 2nd flight of stairs. On the 2nd flight of stairs, the pressure was even stronger. But it still couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. Bam, bam, bam. Lu Ming went up one step at a time without slowing down. When he reached the last step, the strong pressure finally exerted some pressure on Lu Ming. However, the taboo force in Lu Ming's cells erupted. He broke through the external pressure and stepped onto the 2nd platform. At that moment, some other people arrived on the 1st flight of stairs. Dong Yuanqing, Bu Nan. They were the 6 strongest cultivators of the 6th godly emperor layer. They could fight cultivators 4 levels higher than them. The 6 of them were almost the same. They landed on the 1st flight of stairs at the same time. When they landed on the 1st flight of stairs, a demon condensed in front of them. They all had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer. Naturally, such demons could not stop them. With a single attack, the demons in front of them were scattered. They were extremely fast. The demons on the 1st flight of stairs couldn't stop them. Very quickly, they arrived on the 1st flight of stairs. The gazes of the 6 people all landed on the bronze armor, and they started to hesitate. In the end, the 6 of them moved towards the 2nd flight of stairs at the same time. Their goal was the armor on the 1st flight of stairs. There were 3 more pieces of armor on the 1st flight of stairs. They guessed that Lu Ming wouldn't choose the silver armor. So, they had a chance to get the silver armor. At that moment, Lu Ming started moving towards the 3rd flight of stairs. The silver armor wasn't Lu Ming's goal. When Lu Ming landed on the 3rd flight of stairs, a black fire appeared on the 3rd flight of stairs and enveloped Lu Ming. It was a demon fire. It was extremely hot. Lu Ming felt pain all over his body. "Break!" shouted Lu Ming furiously. He released forbidden strength to push the demon fire away. But then, he was astonished. He realized that he couldn't push the demon fire away. The demon fire kept burning his body. He felt pain all over his body. Could it be that this flight of stairs is a test of my willpower? Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then gathered his spirit and energy and continued to step forward. As expected, the demon fire on the 2nd flight of stairs was even more intense. It burned even more painfully. Even with Lu Ming's willpower, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. As expected, it was a test of willpower. If his willpower wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, Lu Ming had experienced many things along the way. His willpower had long been firm and indomitable. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming continued to ascend. Every time he ascended a flight of stairs, the power of the demonic fire would increase by a notch. That kind of piercing pain would also increase. It almost exceeded the limit of an ordinary person's endurance. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and finally reached the 9th flight of stairs. The demon fire on this flight of stairs was too terrifying. This kind of demonic fire would not burn his body, nor would it destroy his body. It would only bring him endless pain. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly. He broke out in a cold sweat and was completely drenched in it. Huff, huff. Lu Ming took deep breaths to resist the urge to retreat. Finally, Lu Ming stepped onto the 9th flight of stairs with great willpower and arrived at the 3rd flight of stairs. On the 3rd flight of stairs was a set of golden armor. Should I choose this set? Lu Ming hesitated. To be honest, the previous flight of stairs was already very difficult. He had almost reached the limit of his endurance before he finally stepped onto it. Needless to say, the next flight of stairs would be even more difficult. Chapter 4102. Lu Ming was a little hesitant. The main reason was that he didn't know if he could return to get the golden armor if he failed on the 4th step. That demon genius Eugene is also not to be underestimated. If I get the golden armor, the other party might also get a treasure of the same level. My combat strength is lower than the other party's to begin with. If I get the same treasure, I'm still not the other party's match. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's gaze became determined. He planned to give it a try. If he wanted to win, he had to get the highest level of treasure. Only then would he be confident. After taking a look at the golden armor, Lu Ming continued to move forward and walked toward the 4th step of the stairs. He actually didn't choose the golden armor? Dong Yuanqing and the others were a little surprised. Originally, they had thought that Lu Ming would choose the golden armor, but they had set their sights on the silver armor. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming actually gave up on the golden armor and chose to continue climbing. It was obvious that his target was the purple armor at the highest level. The eyes of Dong Yuanqing and the other 5 flickered a few times. Then, they moved at the same time and walked towards the 3rd step. Seeing that Lu Ming had given up on the golden armor, they immediately set their sights on the golden armor. Dong Yuanqing and the other 5 stepped onto the 3rd step. Like Lu Ming, they were also burned by the demonic fire and suffered great pain. They gritted their teeth and persevered. Further behind, there were also changes. 5 or 6 people had already stepped onto the 1st step and even reached the 1st platform. These people included Ling Yue and the battle god Yuanwen. During this period of time, the battle god Yuanwen had been constantly fighting with the demons and stimulated his potential. His cultivation had also broken through and reached the 4th layer of the Divine Emperor realm. With his strength that could cross 5 levels, it wasn't difficult for him to rush through the 1st step. After arriving at the 1st platform, Ling Yue and the battle god Yuanwen didn't even look at the bronze armor and directly walked towards the 2nd step. The remaining people's eyes flickered a few times, and then they walked towards the bronze armor at the same time. Further up, there was Lu Ming and the 6 monstrous geniuses. They knew that they would definitely not have a share of the armor. Therefore, their target was this armor. But in the next moment, they all stopped and looked at each other warily. There was only 1 piece of armor, but there were 4 of them. How were they going to split it? Everyone, our main purpose in obtaining this armor is to fight against the demons and win this battle. After the battle, we might not be able to keep this armor for ourselves. Why don't you give it to me? One of the young women said. What you say makes sense. It's the same if you leave it to me. Another young man said immediately, I think I'm more suitable. I think it suits me. The other 2 young men refused to give way. Although he might not be able to keep the armor for himself after the battle, the more devils he killed while wearing the armor, the more credits he would gain. When the time came, the rewards would definitely be greater. Naturally, they would not give in. Whoosh! Suddenly, the woman who spoke first moved. She pounced on the bronze armor. Don't even think about it. The bronze armor is mine. The other 3 young men also threw themselves at the bronze armor. The 4 of them started fighting. Those who had managed to reach this far weren't weak. The 4 of them had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. The battle was intense. But in the end, one of the young men was stronger than the others. After getting injured, he was the first one to reach the bronze armor. It's mine, shouted the young man happily. He tried to grab the bronze armor. However, When the young man's palm neared the bronze armor, the armor emitted a powerful wave that sent the young man flying. The young man was pushed back a dozen steps and shouted furiously, "How is this possible?" The other 3 people were overjoyed. The woman took the first step and tried to grab the bronze armor, but she was also pushed away by the bronze armor. At this moment, the remaining 2 people were stunned and stopped in their tracks. "Could it be that the armor knows how to choose people?" said one of them. "Let's try it first," said the third person. He tried to grab the bronze armor. The others didn't stop him. However, the third person was also sent flying by the power of the bronze armor. After 3 people had been pushed away, the fourth person didn't have much confidence anymore. But he was unwilling to give up. He used his full strength to grab the bronze armor, but he was still pushed away. "I don't believe it," shouted the first young man. He wasn't willing to give up. He tried to grab the bronze armor again, but the result was the same. He was also pushed away, but he wasn't injured. After that, the others also tried, but the result was the same. They were all pushed away. By then, Lu Ming had already stepped onto the stairs of the 4th stage. The 4th step was completely different from the previous ones. When Lu Ming reached the first step of the 4th step, a gigantic demon appeared in his mind. This devil was incomparably terrifying and exuded a terrifying aura. "Is that a demon master?" Lu Ming was astonished. The gigantic demon's eyes were like lightning. He stared at Lu Ming and hollered, "Get lost!" His roar was accompanied by a terrifying pressure. It was as if all living beings had to kneel down in front of him. At the same time, there was a powerful force acting on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled. He was under such great pressure that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. But in the end, it was blocked by Lu Ming. Phew, what a strong pressure. There was a look of shock in Lu Ming's eyes. The pressure emitted by the gigantic demon didn't only affect the soul, but also the body. It was a dual pressure on the soul and the body. If one wasn't strong, didn't have a firm mind, didn't have an unyielding spirit, and didn't have an invincible spirit, they would succumb under this pressure. However, Lu Ming had a forbidden body. How could he succumb to others when he was doing forbidden things? Even if the other party was a demon master, he wouldn't succumb. "No one in the world can make me succumb, not even a demon master," Lu Ming roared in his heart. His footsteps were firm as he stepped onto the 2nd step. On the 2nd step, the gigantic demon in his mind continued to roar, "Get down!" The pressure this time was stronger than the last time. Lu Ming's body trembled even more. Even his heart was trembling. However, Lu Ming's eyes were still filled with an unyielding light. Bang! He took another step up, the 3rd step, the 4th step, the 5th step. Lu Ming continued to step on the 6th step. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.